Well, hello, folks. It's about 1 o'clock here, and there's Gary over there doing what he's doing. He's got his big computer back in here. We've set up our sort of fold up table. We got this one's 4 feet long, and it's just about the right size for him to work on. And every now and then, Bree comes in and climbs up on his lap to have a look and see what he's doing. She's, I think, in the bedroom, possibly on the bed, having a nap. It is pouring down rain off and on all day. Um, Quite windy sometimes, and other times not. And this is kind of our life right now. It's really quite dark in here. I don't know if it shows up on the film, but it really is quite dark in the house. We've just finished having lunch. We bought ourselves a new egg maker thing for the microwave so that we can actually have our eggs. And it's one of those little two-hole ones with the flip lid on it. Microwave safe, but not dishwasher safe, which is okay because we don't have a dishwasher anyway. Anyway, yeah. So we had lunch. We didn't bother getting the toaster out and making toast. We just had bread with it, and it was all good. Tonight, I think we're having leftovers. I think Gary might still have some pizza left, and I definitely have some chicken and potato wedges that we got. We got this. I got the chicken and potato wedges at 7-Eleven. Their food is awesome, actually. I really like it. And Gary went over to a Little Caesars pizza place in the same tiny mall, and that was a couple of nights ago on our way home. And we just grabbed pizza because it was getting quite late, and we had been at the RV place all day, and we were tired and just wanted to have something to eat and then just relax. Anyway, here we are. Gary doing work, me sitting on my butt. I did do some stuff today. I sorted through. I had sort of two bins of clothing, and I sorted through, and some of it was from my dresser in the apartment, and I just needed to get it in with the stuff that had been in the laundry at the apartment, and so I joined them together. And once we have shelves in the closet here, then I'll be able to put my clothes away. But in the meantime, they kind of sit in a laundry basket, just waiting for me to dig through them and find my clothes every day. But that's about it for today, or for right now today. We may do something later, I don't know. I just wanted to show you that Gary's got the great big computer. His is a Big Mac, and this is what he was using in the apartment all the time for doing our editing and stuff. And he could not make a computer, the computer he had, work with DaVinci, which is I mean, it's a fantastic editing program. Movie companies use it for editing. The version that Gary has is actually the pro version. So, anyway, then his computer crashed completely and doesn't even recognize it has a hard drive. So that's kind of more of a boat anchor now than anything. We'll probably pull the hard drive out of there and see if we can recover it. We do have a couple of recovery machines, and one of them might work for that. But we will see. That'll be a later thing. But other than that, so we went to storage, pulled the Big Mac back brought it into the motorhome. We already had the little table here. It was an idea that we might use when we still had the couch in here. Then I might sit on the couch and actually do crafting on that little table, with the camera on the other side of the room, kind of where Gary's sitting right now. So, but that kind of changed when we put the other cabinet in because we needed more drawer space. We are getting there. Where Gary is sitting now, yesterday we couldn't turn that chair. Yesterday that was loaded with stuff, boxes and a big blue bin that had my clothes in it, and all sorts of things were in there. So we've got all that out of there, and we are sorting through it. We're trying to stay sitting still in this parking lot, which is Walmart's parking lot in the north of Lethbridge. We're trying to stay sitting still here for a few days. We may have to move. There's another parking lot that we could move to when our 72 hours is up. But other than that, we are trying to stay here and just get things done, get it all put away, get it sorted, get things ready, and then we're going to try and put a couple boxes into the storage we have here in town rather than driving out to Staveley. And because it's a lot of gas, it's an hour out, an hour back, and the time that we're in town there if we need our machine on at all. So yeah, so we're trying to get things sort of finished up, finalized, and into stuff. We still are going to have to build shelves and cupboards and what have you, but it's just the way it has to be right now. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to go play. I'm playing Animal Crossing. I got a Switch not too long before we moved out of the apartment, and I got a really, really super good price on it finally. And I bought Animal Crossing because it's a game I really quite enjoyed looking at, and I thought I'm just going to give it a try. So I've been playing with that for in my sort of off time or spare time or whatever you want to call it, and I'm really enjoying it. It's quite a cute little game. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go on YouTube and just look up Animal Crossing and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's kind of cute. You're kind of building up this island, and you know, and there's no fighting in it, which is something I really appreciate because I really get tired of every game you want to play has to have some sort of fighting in it. And it's like, well, the world doesn't exist that way. I'm sorry. The majority of the time you're not fighting. You don't have your guns out or your swords or your whatevers, and you're not beating somebody up. So, and there's no slimes here and all that stuff. It is little animals that you're dealing with, which is kind of cute, and some of them are adorable. But some of them are kind of a pain. But anyway, yeah. So you all take care of yourselves, and I will speak to you in the next video or whenever I get back here. All right. Bye now. Ebba here.
Gary here.
Tonight we just wanted to talk a little bit about the differences of living in a motorhome or RVing in general. Because there's a lot of different ways that RVs are used. There's the first way, the easiest way, is you get an RV and you weekend. So 2 or 3 times, maybe even longer, more often, over the summer, you take your little RV, you put your food into it, your clothes, whatever, and off you go. Usually you have some camping equipment in it, like camping pots and pans, things you leave in it permanently. But then things like your clothes and your food and stuff, you get back home, everything comes out. It's done. You kind of clean the thing up at the end of the season. You might have to go and dump your tanks and things like that after each time you go out. It would be smart if you did, because otherwise it could get real rank real fast, honey.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the first one. Do you want to handle the second sort of level? Where you're...
Well, the second level is when you basically use it for longer times. So you're basically living in it all the time, 2 weeks, a month even, and you have your clothes that do get dirty. Well, you have to find a laundromat somewhere to get your clothes cleaned. You have to be able to dump your tanks, usually week and a half. You have to find a place to dump your tanks, fill up water because you use a lot of water. You wash your dishes, you wash your the toilet, and you sometimes have to wash your hair, you have to have a shower, and all these things add up to having to, the more you do it, if you showered every day, and there's 2 of you, that's 4 showers a day, or 2 showers a day. But 14 showers a week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of water. And your water starts going down in a hurry.
And people like that usually are going to a camp They usually are going to a campground of some sort. So they have hookup. So they're hooking up to water, sewer, and electricity a lot of times.
Not always, because there's people who go out boondocking
There
for
are, on their vacations.
2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time, maybe driving up to up on a mountain or in a place where they don't have hookups.
Yeah.
And in that situation, it's entirely different than if you go to a campground that has all the hookups. So it has electricity, it has water, it has sewer hookups.
Yeah. You pay dearly for it.
Yes,
but,
you do.
But if you're only doing it for a month of the year, and you've got a good job, you can afford to do it. And yeah, it's a way different from going out weekending even. And when you get back from that, then generally you clean the whole thing up so that you can either take it to a storage or park it in your yard.
That's right. Now the third thing is about people living in it full time. And you can talk about that.
Yeah, people living in full time, there's sort of two categories. There's the category of somebody living in it full time that just is living in it. They're not trying to do anything else. They are just living in their RV, whatever size it is, whatever type it is. They're living in it. So they have everything is organized quite quickly usually, and they don't have a lot of things. So if they're living in, for instance, a motorhome, their basement usually doesn't have a huge amount of stuff in it. It might have underneath, it might have their winter clothes versus their summer clothes kind of thing in bins. They might have extra pots and pans. They might even have an outdoor cooking because some of these RVs have an outdoor kitchen. So they have a stove and a sink and a fridge outside with a little countertop. So you pull it out, you open it up and you pull it out, and you have your cooking area. And that usually takes up a couple of days in the basement area. The people that are living full time, there's a couple of different kinds of them. There's the ones who travel around, and there's the ones who go to a park. And the park people who live in parks, they're still living full time in their RV, but they're hooked up to water, sewer, electricity. They don't have to worry about those things. They pay a monthly fee, which is usually reasonable for what you're getting. There's quite often there's internet. You have to provide, of course, your own cell phone service, but there's usually things like Wi-Fi and things like that available for you. And it's a lot more comfortable if you can afford it. And then there are the full-time RVers that don't do that, that are more like us. So you live in parking lots, you live where you can find a place to park for the night. You move around quite a lot. You're very nomadic. You're not necessarily leaving a particular area. We know that there is one person, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, a couple, whatever it is, in a motorhome, and they live from the parking lot we're currently in to another parking lot, and they basically shift back and forth every 72 hours, back and forth between the two, because you can be 72 hours here and then 72 hours there and back and forth. We know they've been here for over a year, because we've seen them here for over a year. Parked here long before we got into a motorhome and we had to live in one. So there's differences in the way that the motorhome gets set up. Nothing is temporary. Everything that you want to have with you, you need to have in your motorhome, so you find ways of putting it in the cupboards and things like that. Most people who live in motorhomes, once you've been in them for a while, you don't keep a lot of food in your cupboards.
Well, not like what we have in our motorhome right now. Everything is full of food.
Stuffed with food. We had a lot of food in our apartment. And I'm a person who, when I was young, actually had periods of time when I was a child that we didn't have food, and or had very little, and so I tend to want to have food around me, um, and make sure that I'm never going to be hungry. And it's okay. I mean, I deal with it, but we have an excess right now,
Yes.
and we will be using it up over the next few months, and using the food. When we first move in here, we've been eating out a bit and things like that because you kind of have to, because you haven't got set up. We still don't have set up for actually cooking, boiling water, cooking on a stove, things like that. We finally bought a toaster and a kettle the other day, and so we haven't used the kettle. We used the toaster this morning. It was really nice having a toast, by the way.
And we bought a thing for microwaving eggs. So
Yeah.
now we have
Yeah.
eggs.
So now we can do sort of this semi-poached egg kind of thing, but it cooks the eggs, and that's, we like that. So now we can actually have our eggs. They've been kind of sitting in the fridge waiting for us to eat them. But yes, so there's the kind of person or people who live in the motorhome full time. They're homeless. I mean, if you don't have a resident address, then you're homeless. If you live in a park, you have a resident address. You can live in your motorhome and you have a residence because you've got a physical address to give to governments and things like that. If you live in your motorhome and you go from parking lot to parking lot, you don't actually have a residence, so you actually have to ask somebody if you can use their address for your residence to get your mail there. We have a friend who very, very kindly said yes, please, don't hesitate. So that's how we get our mail and such. But the kind of people that we are, is we're running a business in here. YouTube is a business, and we are looking at it as a business. Even if we're not making money, even if that's not the goal, it's still a business. We have to run it like that. So we've had to get our equipment, and as you saw in a previous video, Gary's now got his big computer in here. We've had to set up a table for him to work on. We had to bring in a dresser, take out the couch. We're going to have to put in shelves because I still use oxygen once in a while. I have to be careful when I use it, and because we do have propane, and propane has an open flame. So we have propane on our furnace and on our fridge. And if we turn on the hot water, it's also on there. So we have three things that are on propane when we've got them all running. And the way the weather has been, we've had to have the furnace on pretty much every day. And the fridge, of course, is always on. So I have to be careful with the oxygen when I use it. But because of that, we took the stove out. And I think we've shown pictures of that already, where we took the stove out. And we have to build shelves in there to put in the electric appliances that we have. We need to also put some shelves into the closet so that we can store the bigger ones in there. But so we're still organizing, but we've had to make a lot of decisions because we are doing a business. Our basement, our underneath storage, is jammed with paper stuff and a box of wood. We had to take out, very sadly, I had to make a decision because I had to get rid of the yarn. So all my yarn is in storage. I had 4 or 5 big bins of yarn that had to go into storage again because we just don't have the space for it. I did keep a couple of looms so that I can sit and buy a ball of yarn or two to make something when I decide I want to do that. But yeah, I had to give my yarn up and put it into storage. I didn't give it away. I just put it in storage. But yeah, we've had to make decisions like that, which other places, other people that are just living in their places don't have to make those decisions. And it hasn't been easy. I mean, we only just got Gary's big computer back. but he was being very frustrated with the with
The programs, like on the laptop I had, which is now passed away, rest in peace.
rest in peace, Les.
The hard drive went, so it's gone. All my information was gone. But the problem was that this to do videos properly, you need a good, solid software package. My Macintosh has the power to do it. My laptop did not.
Yeah.
And the video wasn't good enough to accomplish what I needed. So I tried many different software packages, and this one would do something that worked really well, but it didn't do enough to make the videos the caliber that I want them to be.
Yeah. We are trying
So
to be as professional as we can
that's right.
on our channel, while still having fun and still doing, the fun things. And an editing program is absolutely essential.
I did 4 videos today from the start of our trip on, and it works so easy, but the thing is it adds a lot of stress.
Yeah, the wind on this lower area can be horrendous, and when you put it with things like snow or rain, it's just terrible. We had light wind, what we would call light wind today. It's been raining all day, which is why we've left this until evening, because it was too noisy. Because when you're in a motorhome, you hear the rain on the roof. Usually it's just like patter, 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 and you can still talk and hear each other. But if it starts to pelt down, I mean, we couldn't hear each other. and I've been thinking about this video for a while. It's kind of explaining, RVing. And, but we couldn't have done it this afternoon. It was raining really, really hard. Basically went and had a nap.
Well, it was so hard. Like, we have a commercial flat roof type of roof on here, a house type roof, and that deadens the sound a lot. But even through that, it was really loud today.
Yeah.
If it had been a typical RV with a plastic membrane roof, it would have been useless to try and talk.
You couldn't have, well, I mean, we would have had a hard time today.
Yeah.
Which is why we left it till now. But yeah, it was. It's been interesting the last while because it's been rain and we get a few hours of sunshine. Bad weather on the May long weekend. Our May long weekend is now. And bad weather on the May long weekend is normal here. It is actually normal. We have had times where we've gotten 2 or 3 feet of snow on the May long weekend. It's gone by Tuesday morning. It's done, but it can happen. And it's an interesting place to live. That's for sure, as far as weather is concerned. But we are settling in.
Yeah,
we're doing well with the settling. We're nearly at a point now. Tomorrow, I think we're going to try and get the pots and pans and all that stuff put away underneath the seats that we're sitting on right now. These are bench seats, and underneath is drawers, and they're long. They're as long as the bench almost, and pretty wide. And we're going to be able to put quite a few of the things that we won't use very often that we want to have with us anyway, into these 2 drawers. Eventually, we're going to have to find a spot for them because eventually we want these seats. They're very uncomfortable. We want these seats made into. We want chairs and a table. That's not. This one is hooked to the wall and it's actually coming loose back there. The screws are. I mean, it's old. The unit is old. It's 1990.
No.
9. So,
25 years old.
25-year-old unit. And it's been through several families, and not all of them have treated it well. The other one that we looked at, that I talk about in another video, it was gorgeous. It had been owned by more than one person, but the last person who owned it was fussy. And he had made some beautiful changes and fussed with it. And you could tell it was in good, really good condition.
He was a truck driver.
He was a truck driver, an ex-truck driver. He had retired and he bought a motorhome, and he really liked it. Before he would trade it in, because he traded up, and before he traded it in, he painted it because the outside didn't look good enough. And he put apparently, according to the Skyline painted it for him. But he paid for the paint job, and it was $30,000. And it was really beautiful. It was teal and white on the outside, and very shiny, very, very new looking. It was really a pretty. And inside the seats were deep, dark teal on the chairs. The chairs were actually folding chairs. They could actually, you unhooked something or other, and they could fold up so that you could actually just have the table, or take the table out and use it someplace else or whatever. But yeah, it was really beautiful.
It was a bigger motorhome than this. It was 33 feet. This one's only 32. This is a little one.
Yeah, but it was also older. It was a 95. 94. It was 5 years older. And it was just beautiful because it had been well cared for. We'd kind of like to get this one. We got some ideas when we were looking at that one. And we're going to be making some changes, brightening this place up, possibly painting cupboards and doing some things with it and brightening it up a little bit. But we'll see how time, what goes on. We can buy, you can get a can of paint. That's not expensive. $30, $40 for a gallon of paint. We can paint this place and have it really bright and brightened up. But we've been talking about different things, and we'll get more into that later on as we go along. But yeah, I think we just wanted to talk to you, kind of explain, just for those of you who don't really know, you've RV'd in one way or another. Maybe you never have. Maybe it's just something you'd like to do or like to give a try. But there are different ways of RVing, and if you do buy yourself one, please learn the maintenance, because the maintenance is really important. It will make your unit a pleasure to have or a nightmare. You don't do the maintenance on it and you don't keep it up, and it's going to become a nightmare really fast, because these things are not meant to be lived in. They're meant to be camped in, but they are meant to be maintained, no matter whether it's a motorhome or a trailer or a fifth wheel. Doesn't make any difference. Even a van, there's maintenance to be done on it. And if you've got a motorhome, you've got an engine, you've got transmission, you've got wheels, you've got axles, you've got all the things that go with a vehicle. You do on a pull behind, you've got axles and tires and things too. You need to check them. You need to make sure that they're not going to pop on you as you're driving down the highway and drag you off the road, because that can happen. And an accident like that could kill you and your whole family, whoever's in it. It has happened, and it's not. It's basically maintain it, check things. Learn the maintenance. Learn what you should do before you start up, before you start driving. Learn what you should look for. Gary, very fortunately, was a truck driver, so he has a good idea of what needs to be looked at. And so he goes out before we go anywhere. He goes out and he checks the various things to make sure that they're all going to work, that we're not going to be driving and pop a tire or have something else happen.
Well, you can still pop a tire.
Hmm.
no matter what. I've had it happen,
But if you can
but
do as much preventive and upkeep as you can, it's just better for you. Even things like keeping your cupboards and your hinges and things like that. Because as you're driving on a road, whatever kind of RV you've got, as you're driving on a road, these roads are not great. You're driving on a road and it's been repaired and repaired and repaired over winter, over years, and you've got this bump, a bump, a bump, a bump going on. That's shaking up your thing. It's moving your, vibrating everything. And so, you know, check for things like your screws coming loose on your door cupboards and things like that.
or your fridge,
Or your fridge.
or freezer.
Yep.
Stuff in jar loose.
Yep.
You're making turns and the whole unit is shifting.
Yep.
And food and that can move in the fridge.
Yep.
In the freezer.
Yeah, we actually had that happen yesterday. Gary wasn't around, and it was a fiasco for me. My oxygen got really, really low as a result. And you have to also, when you're doing things, put things away neatly. Make sure that you're stacking things properly. Don't put little on top of, or big on top of little. Have a look at how you're putting things into cupboards, into fridge, freezer, all of the rest of it, because it'll jar. Make sure everything is packed. Make sure it's not going to fall. Make sure it's not going to slide onto the floor and scare the hell out of you. As you're driving along, because these things happen. You turn a corner and it's a little too sharp. You're a little too top heavy. You're a little, or the road tips. Sometimes the road just has a dip in it, and you hit the dip. You can't see it, but you hit it, and then you get that jarring. So there's various things that jar the thing. These are the realisms of living in an RV, the realisms of moving around in them. And we have to move, in a couple of, I think we've got 2 more nights. Tonight and another night, and then we have to move. So, there's lots of other places for us to move to, and we did talk about joining that club. We haven't done that yet. We've still got a lot of business stuff to look after. Once we get sort of settled into the place, it's hard to do the business when things are kind of upside down and you're trying this and you're putting that, and it's just, it's hard to do the business, and we're doing our best. Gary now can get online, at least I still can't.
I could for a while, but now I can't again.
Yeah.
So
and there seems to be something going on with the internet hookup here. It's free Wi-Fi. So we kind of have to put up with whatever they give us and whatever they do. And here right now, it keeps telling us that we can't get onto YouTube, it's too insecure. But every site seems to be the same. I was able to find a log into my one bank account to make sure that everything was kosher there. And logging into that bank account was really important for me to be able to get into it, because I pay all my bills out of there and give money to Gary for bills, for household sharing money and things like that. It's my bank account. It's the only one I have that I use all the time. And it would have been kind of a fiasco if we couldn't run in. However, banks are really quite good because you can go into a bank. You can walk into a bank and say, this is who I am. Here's my proof, my driver's license, my this, my that. Here's my proof of who I am. I need to do this. And they will help you. They will put a phone on there if you need a phone put on. They will do things with you. The online places, not so much. I have a MasterCard that is not, there's no place for me to walk into. There's no physical building for me to walk into, and so it's being a problem. I have to get a credit card for myself, because Gary also has the same type of MasterCard with the same company, and I was going to use his phone. I can't do that because it can't be on 2 separate accounts. the world has become insane. I mean, it's just become insane. But yeah, so doing business has been frustrating um, because there were so many things that we didn't get to do before we left the apartment, or didn't think to do before we left the apartment, because the apartment was a madhouse, and it was that way for like 2 months, and we just, there was just things that we never thought about, things that we didn't do that we could have and should have before we left that physical thing. But it's been quite a ride. The last few days for me have been really frustrating. But at least one of us has access to their stuff, even if it is, you know.
We have AMA on this. Well, I've got a membership to AMA. Now, that works good for cars, but you have to have the top of the line AMA, which is a black card, and that's good for RVs.
Yep.
It gives you 300 kilometers towing, so you can
of an RV.
RV, which is like towing a big truck.
Yeah.
And that's thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So even if you're just going out and you're just a weekender, it's a smart idea if you're an AMA member, it's a smart idea for you to get that extra card. Because if you need to tow, that extra money you pay for that card is going to pay for itself one tow.
Yeah.
Because it would be thousands of dollars to tow any distance for a vehicle like this, because they have to put it onto a trailer. They can't just mop it onto the back of a tow truck and haul it along. It's like, this is bigger than a semi truck.
The other thing too is, and I don't know how they do it, but they'll deliver gas. Now, when we get $100 worth of gas, as a minimum,
their $5 isn't going to go far.
That's right. So, but they say it, so I don't know what they
the gas stations love us. We drive in and they go, oh, money.
Yeah, that's right. Even for the propane, like it's $90-some worth of propane to fill our tank. Wow.
And we needed to, yesterday we needed to go and get some fuel because we knew we were going to be using the generator. And the generator on this unit, it doesn't always work the same on all units. But on our unit, the generator works off of our gas tank. So we don't have to fill the generator up. Which if you've got a little like portable generator, that's the thing, you have to fill them up. But we don't have to do that with this, it just works on the gas tank. But having said that, when we reach only a quarter of a tank of fuel in the big tank, the generator won't come on. It'll just stop. It just shuts itself off and says, there's not enough fuel here for me, and that's the end of it. So we have to be careful how much fuel we've got and make sure that we've got enough, that especially when Gary's working on a project, for instance, we don't want that computer being shut off in the middle of him doing something and killing it, because that's what happened to the other computer. We had 1 or 2 days where the generator, it needs a tune-up, and Gary's got to go and get the parts for that. But the generator just kept shutting off that one day, and I think it did it 3 times within about an hour. And the next time Gary went to turn his computer on, it was gone. And turning off your computer suddenly like that can kill the hard drive. So
anyway, I think that's about it.
That's about all we wanted to.
Yeah.
We just got real chatty and talking about stuff, and I hope you enjoy it. And, us just sitting here talking about things. And I want Gary to do a comparison. He has some photos before we moved into the motorhome with nothing in the cupboards. And he took the photos for me so that he could show me what the motorhome looked like inside and everything. Because at the time I was having a real hard time breathing, and he was the one looking at it. So he took the photos, and I looked at the photos and said, "Yeah, it looks good," you know. And then I got to see it inside. He came inside, but so I want him to do that. Look at the pictures he's got, and kind of do before and after. So before and after, this is what it's done before and after, and you can then see how full everything is and what we've done when we put things and everything, just to sort of show you our life, bring you into our home a little bit more. And that's what sort of the motorhome videos, that's what we want to do, is share our life, and so that you can see how living homeless,
How we're surviving.
how we survive. Yeah, how we survive. We'll show you cooking and things like that when we get to that point. Not at this point. We do a lot of microwaving now. We actually have some food in there that we are going to have to get our kasori out, because they're not supposed to go into the microwave to be cooked. And they actually have it on the package, do not microwave. So we've got a couple of things in there, now meat that's uncooked meat, and we've got to get our kasori out, because the kasori will cook it, or we'll cook it on top of. We have an induction hot plate, and we'll get that out and do that with it. But anyway, when we get around to actually cooking and not heating up, we'll bring you along for some of that too, to show you, what we do, how we manage, because the place isn't big. I mean, you don't have a big kitchen, you don't have a big countertop. You've got actually quite a small amount of space on the counter for actually doing anything. So, and it's pretty crowded looking over there right now. It's behind the camera. It's safer behind the camera.
Yeah, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight. But yeah. So yeah, I think that's
it.
I think that's about it for this time. So we hope you kind of enjoyed, listening to us blabbering on about, different topics and different. But initially I just wanted to kind of explain the different lifestyles and the different RV life there are out there. And I mean, of course, every family is different as well. But beyond that, there's these sort of little sectioned off ways that RVs are used. So anyway,
Okay,
I guess that's it for now.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy it. Let us know. Make comments and let us know what you think, what we're doing. Okay, bye.
Bye for now.